In the kitchen of intrigue, Curt Jackson and Chris Callow are cooking up a batch of mystery soup.
Each episode serves a new blend of tips, tactics, trends, and tales from the business and design sides of the escape room world.
So grab your spoon, because this episode starts in 3, 2, 1.
Mystery Soup.
Welcome back to the Mystery Soup podcast, all about escape rooms, the business and design side. I'm Curt, and with me, as always, is Chris. What's up, Chris?
What? Good. What was the long pause? You're like Mystery Soup podcast. Were you not sure if this was the Mystery Soup video show or
you don't like the the dramatic pause?
Yeah, people listening to the podcast are really. What is it? Mystery Soup? What could it be? Oh, it's a podcast.
That's it.
I did some rooms this weekend, so I'm up to 83, I think.
That's right. You did do some. You went back to CU Adventures, right?
I did. Went back there. And so now and did a couple in this area, but
did they have the mini golf up yet?
No.
Okay, yeah. They did say next year, so
next year.
I would just hoping.
I asked. I didn't get to see it. So Chris and Ann, if you're listening, you were not there, number one. And that was sad. You should always be there when I arrive. But
you should have told them you were coming.
I know. I wasn't sure. It was like a last minute kind of plan. So
yeah. Well, this episode, we have Mark Blume with us from Keystone Escape Games in Reno. How you doing, Mark?
Yes. Fantastic.
Good. I used to live in Reno. I lived in Reno for about a year.
That's long enough.
Yeah.
Is Reno, what's its slogan? It's something like the biggest city or something.
Yes, the biggest little city. Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for being on the show with us. I've actually wanted to get you on for a little while. When Tina and I were at your place, there were certain things that really stood out to us, and we had a great time playing your 2 rooms there. So yeah,
thank you very much.
Absolutely. Let's just jump in. And if you want to tell us about yourself outside the escape room.
Yeah. So I am a elevator mechanic by day, escape room owner by night. And mostly these next few weeks, I'm preparing to go to Burning Man for the first time. So that's that's the big adventure on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've played a few games. I'm almost up to 200, and I'm hopefully there by the end of the year. So I want to be able to nominate for Topeka's.
Right.
It's a goal.
Nice. Nice. What is it about Burning Man that you this year decided I want to go there?
Well, it just so happens that the girl that I'm dating, this will be her 12th year in a row.
Oh, okay. That'll do it.
So I have a trailer in my front yard getting loaded up, ready to go. So that's the main reason.
That's awesome.
Is Burning Man in Nevada? It's in Nevada, right?
Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours north of Reno.
Okay. I knew it was out in the desert somewhere. So
yeah. So it's easy to get to.
Very cool. Elevator repairman. Is that what you said? Elevator repairman?
Yes, elevator mechanic.
That's an interesting job. That's kind of cool. I don't know if I've ever met anyone that works on elevators.
But you don't have an elevator shaft game or anything like that.
We are building it, actually.
Oh,
we are building an elevator game, and that's become a lot more complicated as time goes on, because actually to get the movement is really complicated to get the movement right. And maybe it's just because I am too tied into elevators that I'm like, I want the rocking to match the wheels of the rollers and the whole 9 yards.
Sure.
So how'd you go from elevator to escape rooms?
So we played a few escape rooms, really enjoyed them. Like most people, loved the concept, and believe it or not, thought it would be an easy business to have and start. And so we just jumped into starting to build it and look for a place. That was probably after we had played maybe 4 or 5 games locally.
Mm-hmm.
Then started traveling and realized, well, it's not going to be easy, and they're a lot cooler than we thought. you know.
Right.
We kind of have this little motto that we talk about here. We have an experience for people, and it just so happens to be an escape room versus the other way around. That's why the sets and stuff are so important. And of course, that's what I really like too, the environment, you know, where you go in and there's lights, sounds, makes a lot more of an experience than just, I mean, I can solve puzzles anywhere, but I can't get the experience if I don't leave my house. So
yeah,
it's
we've
kind of
talked
a big deal
before about how important like the lighting and sound is, because if you don't have that, it feels very sterile. So you said you had done a couple escape rooms and then you decided you want to start one. But what kind of is the, I guess, origin story? Did you find your location and started building from there? And how long did it take you to get up and running?
So we looked at a few different places and found a couple. We first looked at this one, and you've been here, so it's kind of in a weird spot, and we didn't like it. And then as we looked around more and more, we realized sometimes budget is really nice.
Yeah.
So, and did a little research as to where your customers come from, and when you realize that most, maybe up to 90%, come from, you know, internet searches, your location is a lot less important.
Right.
So we picked this spot mostly because of the cost and the buildability of it. It was a lab before we moved in here, and it was already, and it was cordoned off into 500 to 700 square foot rooms already.
Perfect.
So that made it a lot easier to get started.
Absolutely. And you had the fire sprinkler system already installed and all that?
Yeah, so there was a fire sprinkler system throughout. Unfortunately, the fire in Poland took place in the middle of our building. So they changed the rules and required us to install an additional fire system in the middle after. Yeah, that was not fun. That put us off like 3 weeks, of course, to get open. And wasn't cheap.
Bites into your budget.
Yeah, for sure. But we just started building, and a lot of it just kind of, we realized what we wanted, and like the lobby, didn't want it to look like exactly as you were talking about, where it feels sterile. So we wanted it to look nice and have music and stuff. And we just kind of started there and kept going into the escape room.
Nice.
Do you feel it as a pretty decent location? Is there a lot of tourists and things like that, or do you see more locals?
We get a lot of tourists coming in for sure, which is nice. A lot, and we're not too far from California. It's a 2-hour drive from Sacramento area, so that's good.
Reno's kind of like a little Vegas, right? Am I thinking right?
Yes.
The only thing I know of Reno, wasn't it in one of the Honey I Shrunk the Kids? I feel like
what?
So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out my connections here. And I feel like I've seen it online for something. It's kind of like a little Vegas, right?
Well, I don't know about that, but it used to have its own Reno 911 show.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Okay, yes, I can see that now. Okay, get those shorts.
Filmed in LA, but they said they were here.
That's
and really close to Lake Tahoe.
Yes,
that's nice. What's been your best advertising? What's done well for you?
You know, we're just on Google, and we don't do a lot of advertising, to be honest with you. We now have a lot of reviews, right? Almost 1,400 or something, and people just find us.
Wow.
And so that's been the big one. We have used Google Ads quite a bit, but actually seen much difference when they're on or when they're off.
We found you guys through Morty, because the Morty reviews were good. Yes.
Oh, yes.
So
yes.
That's kind of how we picked all of our, basically we went on a couple of the Facebook groups, asked for recommendations, and then also use Morty.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because we do get a lot of enthusiast players from Morty.
Yep.
Yes.
For sure.
So Curt's done, I think, the Dragon game. Were you telling me about that, Dragon Alley?
I've done both of them.
Okay. So y'all have a couple games there. Tell me a little bit about them. I haven't seen them. So,
well, the first one we built, which was Blood of the Original, it's a Victorian steampunk we call it with a vampire twist. So it's vampire adjacent, right? Type of a room. It's not all about killing a vampire. In fact, you're actually working for the bad guys in the end, which is the twist.
Right.
But I think it's a little more of a standard escape room with a little more papers and stuff, for at least in the first room, the first part, because that was our first game, and it actually progressed as we kept playing games. So, and we kept making
And
changes.
it's a little scary
yeah.
too, right? There's a little bit of a scare factor. Okay.
We added a few scare factors even towards the end. You know, we went to the haunt convention and we're like, oh, that's cool. So so
Yep.
found some stuff. There's one thing in that room where there's banging on a door and stuff, and that originated when I was just trying to scare one of our employees, and it works so well. We're like, hey, maybe this will work in the room.
Love it.
Chris, you get a weapon in there too. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna give anything away, but you get a weapon.
I mean, vampires, it's got to be a steak, right? A wooden steak.
Something a little bit more powerful, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Dragon Alley was the next one, and it's a little bit bigger, a little more stuff to do because we were thinking of larger groups at the time. It's a medieval fantasy game, and in the end, the wizard, tries to create a spell but screws up, and you're trying to fix his mess up. And of course, getting through the process to receive all the crystals and fix it is what that game is. And then I wanted to have a really cool hint system in there, as what was also a driver in the aesthetics of the place, I think. So we have the talking skeleton in that room. It's not a secret. We post him on Facebook. He makes jokes.
It's so good. It's so good.
He's a character. Yeah. So we actually use him through advertising, and he talks to people all the time, just in even advertising stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't realize that. I will say that I love a fun hint system in a game. That's one of my favorite things. The staff that you had there at the time that Tina and I were there, fantastic. We really liked your staff. And you use a voice changer, obviously, for the skeleton.
Yes.
Because we had a female for our game master, but the skeleton, was it Jim?
Yes.
Jim. He obviously has a male voice, and I came out and I was like, who did the voice for Jim? And she's like, I did. And I was like, what? How did you do that? So what's the machine, or what do you use to make that happen?
It's just a voice modulator with a whole bunch of different types of voices you can use to make them male, female, little kid, robot. And then you can adjust the sensitivity. So each person, when they start to GM that game, they kind of will set it to their own settings. Because the girls need a little more of this, the guys need a little more of that.
Right.
Jim's got some crazy eyes on your I'm looking at your Instagram. Those makes me surprised.
Yeah. And the nice thing about Jim, of course, is it's a real life character the whole time. So he can tell you jokes and talk to you, and that's more than just answering questions that are pre-recorded.
Do you have a script? You've got little jokes that the game master can be like, oh, I'm gonna throw this one in, or do they have to improv?
It's a combination of both. We have some standard ones that they like to throw out because they learn what works, so they start using them more, and then they keep adding more things. And it's more of a tribal knowledge people pass on from one GM to the other versus it being written. In fact, I actually don't think any of that's really actually written down.
Interesting.
We just did a room that had that, and my 8-year-old talked to it the entire time. Like, it kept her busy the entire game. Like, it was a crow that she talked to, and the game master just kept dealing it like, and every now and then he's like, parents, do you guys need a hint? They're like, no, you're good, keep her entertained.
Yes.
It was funny, but I love it.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about your design process when you created these rooms. Kurt and I, we usually use post-it notes to start sticking them up everywhere. But what's
Uh,
your process look like?
So the primary process for Blood, I actually wrote a short story and built the room around my short story about the Morriston's life and how the process of his wife and all of the things that happened in the room. That was the beginning of like, okay, where do we go from here?
Wow.
And so that was really cool. That was fun. We actually sort of did that with the other rooms. Well, physically, what I have found that's worked best for me is to use a whiteboard and then take pictures of it and then print them out. And then that way I can just keep moving forward and not lose stuff all the
Yeah.
time.
A lot of people, when they write books and stuff, like their characters have a whole storyline that the authors know that you never really hear about, but they have that in their head. So that's kind of cool. You're the vampire one. You had that whole storyline behind it that you're thinking of as you create a room. That's neat. It's a neat idea.
Well, and it makes it fit together. So when you start adding decorations, pictures and stuff, there's why those pictures are there, that versus just throwing them in because they're vampire pictures.
Yeah.
And in the last room, there's a number of vampire pictures. And we also did a bunch of research and made sure that they were all real families from Europe. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Interesting.
that helps. I think that while people may not notice as much that you do that, I think they can still feel a little difference.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Also with props too, right? If the props are real versus fake.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Did you write a story for your second room as well?
We didn't write it per se as much but we spent a lot of time talking about the process of where the story came from before we got started.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
just
Going
to know,
and interviewing dragons and kind of hanging out with them, seeing their lifestyle.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking at a lot of D&D and realizing that different colors of dragons do different things, and
Right.
that kind of stuff matters to people.
That's true.
It really matters. The people who work for me, the employees that work for me, in fact, they actually put on a D&D game once a week here.
Oh, cool.
in our party room, and they're really into that stuff, and they get dressed up, and it's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what about the puzzles in your rooms? How do you come up with those?
That's pretty collaborative. I think
Mhm.
I like to talk with other people. You get basic ideas and what's going to fit within the room and the story.
Yeah.
That's what I try to do as much as possible. At least that's the way we've been doing it, very collaborative and working with other people. And I've talked to a few I've worked with Tommy Houghton just a little bit as well on ideas and stuff, just through chatting a couple times. And, that's really good information to get. But mostly it's how does it fit within the story? That's what I'm trying to get when
Right.
we're doing puzzles. Now that's pretty generic, but I like puzzle books, and I do puzzles in puzzle books, and I go, how can I take this awesome little puzzle I really enjoyed and make it big? That's a big way I like to come up with help with puzzles too.
Yeah.
That process.
Yeah.
It's all part of the learning about puzzles too. I've read a bunch of puzzle books, and how to design puzzles. I just like reading about it, and it makes it feel a little less black box, woo, and we're like, oh, there's actually processes for this.
Do you have a favorite puzzle book?
I like the Penguin puzzle book, the one I have. I've used that one. Read it. It talks about history of puzzles. And I have a big cryptex book too that just talks about how the cryptex is developed over the years. And so it's I guess maybe it's as much, the history of the puzzles as doing them too. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even know those existed. Let's look those up.
Mm-hmm.
And then the set design, you really kind of throw yourself into the set design as well. I mean, when we were there, you have it felt like you had a couple of rooms just set up with tools and everything to build your sets. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you really enjoy doing? And is there a certain, I guess, process in that that helps as far as designing your sets?
I realized pretty early on that we have this, you just say no to IKEA.
Right.
After playing a few rooms where they're like quite literally the first weekend you open them and drawers are falling apart. And I'm like,
Mhm.
this is not where I want to be. How do we build games that don't look like people have played for 10 years, even after a week? And I enjoy building and designing and figuring that stuff out. That's how to build it. It's a puzzle in itself. Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a
And
tool or machine that you'd recommend? Like, you got to get this. This is what really seems to help build stuff.
the tool that has made the biggest difference for me was the CNC machine.
Mm.
Two reasons. One, it forced me to learn design programming, and that also a fun process. And we started off with a small one, like just like 36 by 24 by 24, and realized that's too small. So now you've seen the one. Now I have one. It does 4 by 8 sheets. I can do full panels. And so when we
Yeah.
Is
build,
it the robot that moves around, or is it a whole like machine you put panels in?
it's a table. It's a full-size table,
Okay.
and the whole thing runs over. It's a big table machine.
I
And
keep seeing this one
yes,
online that's like a robot that moves around, and I'm like, how good is he? Is he good? Because he's a lot cheaper than the big old tables. But
yes. A friend of mine, acquaintance, just got one of those, and I haven't heard yet whether or not he really likes it or not.
But
But
it's a game changer, huh? The
it
CNC machine.
it so improves the building ability. It's amazing. When you take the time to design stuff, then you can actually cut it out. It's great, and it
Yeah.
changes that. In Dragon, we went through 3 iterations of wall builds with different foam and concrete, because you've heard that,
Ah.
right? And the first,
Mhm.
it's so monotonous, it's awful. And we did it twice. We tried different foams and stuff. And then in the last room and in the party room, we actually cut all of our walls with the CNC machine and then painted them and shaded them. And most people don't notice the difference, even though it's only 1/2 inch material.
Oh, wow.
It looks the same. There's no way you can put a hole in a wood panel like that, which is also
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
of course, faster to build, right? Because once you design it, you walk away, because those panels did take 13 or 14 hours to cut out.
Mhm.
Wow.
But mhm.
But it's pressing a button rather than cutting it out yourself. That is the nice part.
Yeah, it's like doing laundry. You just put it in and walk away.
Yeah. That I have a very small laser machine here that I use, and I love it because I can. The design process takes forever, but then you press
Yes.
the button and you walk away, and it's like, this is so nice.
Yeah, so we have that machine. I have a 3D printer as
Mhm.
well to make custom stuff. And that's combined with a casting room. So we make castings and stuff of all of our things. I found that when I was trying as hard as I could to get an 18-inch dragon, that I just couldn't find one. So it was easy, turned out easier to make it and to make them.
With all this equipment that you have, do you ever hire yourself out like for projects? Has anybody ever come, Mark, can you make this for me or make that for me as a little side gig?
You know, I've heard a lot of people bring it up, but nobody's ever really asked. I've helped a
Yeah.
friend who does table work, doing cut inlays into his tables a few times, but that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you mentioned your party room. Is that a moneymaker for you? Or
No, I know that it does put people over the top sometimes as far as when they are calling for birthday parties.
mm-hmm.
And you say, by the way, we also have a party room and you can use it before and after or whatever. And they like that. They're like, okay, let me book my time. So
Yeah.
it helps encourage that for sure. But we're thinking of turning the party room into a smaller 45-minute game,
Mm-hmm.
because it's
Yeah.
already themed out like a medieval, castle. So
Right. Yeah, why
mhm.
not?
Get it used a little bit more. I like that. Do you you have a lot of tech in your rooms? Is there quite a bit, or is it all very Gen 1-y?
We have a lot of tech in Dragon. I don't want to exaggerate, but I think it's about 260 input outputs that go
Oh
and
my
operate the
goodness.
game.
My
We use
goodness.
two full click PLCs with 8 additional modules on each one. So
Wow.
I'm using in this game and the new game to run everything. And then on the platform of M3 is what
M3, okay.
we use for the GMs and stuff
Heard
like
that one.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great program. It's a little hard to use since there's no manual. You have to kind of learn stuff. But
there's very little documentation with M3.
yeah, but you can do so much stuff with it, and the employees love the interaction with it. It's really nice.
So what would you say sets your business apart from other escape room businesses in your area? Besides Jim.
Besides Jim. Well, I like to think that we have some of the best sets in town by far. I know I like to think we have good puzzles, even though I don't feel like we're puzzle focused. I think we're environmental focused, including to the point to where our GMs come out in costume,
Right.
So that's a big deal for me. I love that. So I think that's the biggest differential is people say to me, and used to say a lot, that they just feel like the moment they walk in, their whole experience is starting, and they just get excited from the moment they walk in. That's the biggest thing, I believe, and the sets with the lights and the sounds and smokes and all those things. I believe we're the only people in town that provides hints and doesn't make people ask for hints as well. And so our percentage of people successfully completing the games is much, much higher.
Yeah.
Because nobody has fun when they lose. And it's not fair to make, I don't think it's fair to make people ask for hints when they don't know how many puzzles there are.
Yeah.
So unless you're going to tell them how many puzzles you have and how much time you have left and how much do you have to do, it's kind of not fair in my mind in a way. But it's also part of the experience idea. The goal is not to make you struggle to solve it. We just nudge you through. You didn't experience any of that because you guys are pretty good, but we have a bunch of levels of, we really get into how to give hints and stuff.
Kurt's not that good. He's just okay.
Tina's the one I lean on for sure.
That's right.
Yeah. So in Blood, we tried to write all the hints and stuff. They're all in Old English and stuff like that, so it doesn't break immersion every time you get a hint. And the spirits are giving you hints, not a game master. And so that's the biggest difference, I think, in part is because more people win here than anywhere else because we help just enough. Just enough.
Good.
Our goal is to get people out with less than a minute.
I mean, people want to see the whole thing. You know, they do want to experience. I know we do. We want to experience everything. So yeah, that's important.
And like you said, with just a minute, I mean, you want to see the whole thing, but you also want to feel like you got your money's worth and you spent about an hour in there. And so, because I've done some rooms, I've been out in 20 minutes. I'm like, this was too easy. Like, this was not fun. And so
my old partner, she got so angry once, and I won't mention the name of the room in San Diego, but they do the same thing and they help you. And the guy helped us so much, we finished 25 minutes early. And she was so mad. She was like, I want to talk to the owner. How come you pushed us through this room?
Yeah.
It's an art. We've had the same thing where game master is over hinting and over nudging, and you're like, okay, but if you feel like, I don't know, that you don't want to be rude, you might not say, you just accept the hints.
You're also kind of like, are we doing that bad that you need to help us this much? Like,
right?
Maybe we don't know how bad we are.
Yeah, no, it's very frustrating.
And so I think that's differentiated. That's people win and the environment. People who've never played escape rooms come in and they just get super excited. And I don't think it's because of the puzzles. I think it's because they're scared, that kind of a thing. And Jim.
Is there anything you'd improve or change with the business?
Well, what I already mentioned before is learning how to build faster.
Is it mostly you, or do you have?
Well, I used to have a full-time builder as well. Basically, a full-time builder. Jim of all people, that was his name. That's where Jim got his name.
That's funny.
So that has been a big change. And so I'm trying
Lost
to
him, stuck him in a cage in a room.
yeah, we don't miss him. We really, yeah, no, we don't miss him. So yeah, so
Didn't
that's the
feed
big
him.
one. As far as the game, that's really the main one. I like the way everything works within the games. We do a little bit of improving, but I've learned at the very beginning that it's only slightly important to continue to improve your games, because once people have played them, I mean, you're not going to get new people back,
Mhm.
right? And I think I mean, maybe after you get fully built out.
Mhm.
That's really the big one, I think, is that. I mean, that's really the main one.
I'm looking on Morty. Your 2 rooms for the Reno Sparks area are the best rated. So that's got to help you, you know, and that
Yes.
says something too. So
Yes, thank you.
that's
Yes.
nice. Yeah.
We do get people coming into town to play. When I first started, my biggest goal was like, I will know I felt like I made it when somebody says they've come to Reno to play my games. And now we actually get people who will say they saw us on Morty or,
Nice.
Topeka listing, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we made it.
Right. Right. I agree. What
Yeah.
advice would you give to new or aspiring escape room owners?
I got to think of something original, because of course the non-original idea is, remember, it's going to take a lot longer than you think and be a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's the
That's fair.
biggest one. And really, I would say from the very beginning, start documenting your process and start making processes so other people can help you more.
Oh, smart.
Because
Yeah.
for the first 3 years, I was very like, all owners, you don't get a lot of help from anybody.
Mhm.
And now we have books that tells people how to do processes. So if I'm not here, they can look at the book. Oh no, we lost power, and they know how to fix things and stuff like that. And get them involved, and get your staff involved in game design from the very, very beginning, and
Really?
design from the very beginning. Sometimes their ideas are a little wonky, but that's okay. Because it grows, all your ideas grow. And
Mhm.
I encourage people to do that big time. And one of the girls who works for me, she's helping to design like another room. She wants a horror room. Well, then design it. And so she's
Mm,
really into that. It
that's
gives them a
cool.
lot of ownership as
Right.
well.
Yep.
But
Right.
documentation, figure out how you're going to do stuff so you don't have to relearn the process over every single time, is what I would say from the very beginning.
Nice.
Even
Okay.
here at camp, we hired somebody this summer to help design a lot of our shirts and stuff. And my wife, I heard her talking to her one time, and she said, Chris is very picky. But do it. He might get an idea from yours, or he might use yours. But just don't be sad if he doesn't pick it, because he's very picky. So
As long as you have those expectations.
yeah,
Yeah.
plan it ahead.
Yes, for sure. My first partner used to say, what she said to me was, your primary job is the not good enough guy.
Yeah.
It's not good enough.
Yeah.
We can do better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does the future of Keystone Escape Games look like?
Well, we have the Area 51 room going in. We have already started the elevator room. At some point, we're going to continue that. The elevator room was originally the Area 51 room, but we realized we wanted a bigger game.
Oh,
So
okay.
this new game is going to be, it's almost 1,000 square feet.
Wow.
So it's going to be large, and it'll feel good, right, to be in it, because it'll be so big. I think that's
the Area 51.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that is a huge game. And then
Yeah,
how big
that's a
is
pretty
the
big
elevator going to be?
The elevator itself is just about an 8x8 elevator, a normal size elevator. That's a big process, because there's a couple main things with the elevator that I've never seen yet in an escape room, and I'm sure, because I haven't played everyone out there, of course, is when you enter into the elevator and you do your whole game part in it, you go back out the same door into a different room, right? I want to do that.
Oh,
So
okay.
it feels like a real elevator. I know it exists. I've talked to some people that kind of did stuff to make that happen, but
That'd be
that's
awesome.
I want that because, you know, the moment you walk into most elevators, they have another door on the other side, and you go, that's where I'm going to go out to go into the next room. And you already know that before you even start the elevator. You're like, so I want that. That's a big one. And then with the horror game, because I think a 70s horror game would be perfect in this location.
Nice. Yeah,
19...
that'd be fun. We did an elevator shaft. It's called the elevator shaft game in LA.
The basement?
At the basement. Yeah. Have you played that one? Yeah. We really like that one. That was actually our favorite game there.
Oh, okay.
At the basement.
Yeah. We went back last year. I actually took all of the employees to LA and we played.
What? Wow.
Yes. Yeah. We went to all to LA. We rented a big Airbnb, you know, with a bunch of rooms, rented a van. I think we played 9 games while we were down there.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, all of the big ones, you know, a lot of the big ones anyways. And
which ones did you do?
So without looking at the list, but we did all of the basement. We did Lab Rats.
Love Lab Rat. Yeah.
Tommy Hotton's game, Stash House. And then we did a number of other ones too that that we just looked up and we booked them.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of Stash House?
I thought it was great. I liked it. And the pictures at the end were fantastic of the pole dancing, but it was, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah. It's very immersive. You feel like you're in an apartment. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I enjoyed a number of the little puzzles there too. I didn't get to do as much because when I bring my whole crew, I feel like I don't know how to do anything.
Right. Now you know how I feel when it's me and Tina and Chris and his wife. I just stand there going, oh, wow, really? You guys, you got that already. Okay.
How'd you get that? How'd you come up with that?
Yeah, I love doing that. So we went to LA and took them to the LA and did all those stuff down there. We've been to San Francisco and we played Palace games, rented a big van, and everybody went down there.
Wow.
Did that. Went to San Jose and played Home Escapes because I'm sure you hit them too.
I love Home Escapes, yeah.
And we took a trip down there for a day and did 6 of their games, closed up for the day and took the whole crew.
Wow, that's really cool. Man, did you get over to Trivium?
I have yet to go to Trivium.
Okay.
That's so on the list. We're making a trip probably this end of this month, and that might be on it.
Wow. That's cool. I love that you take your staff out. Are you able to, I mean, your staff sound like obviously they're really good and they can run things without you there. So if you take like a week trip, you're fine. You go to Burning Man, you're not going to have to worry about the business.
I'll be fine. Everybody does really well. I take 4 or 5 days off on a regular basis to go visit my dad. Went to Montreal to play the escape rooms up there.
Did you? That's top of our list right now is Montreal.
Yes. Yeah. The best games that I've played were up there ever.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Yes.
So,
but that's part of back to get your staff involved in helping fix things, know how to do things.
Yeah.
I wish I would have started that earlier because of course the first couple of years it's hard to leave.
Right. All right, Mark. Well, we're going to go into what we call our speed rounds. And basically how this works, Chris is going to ask you a series of questions. You get 1 sentence. We're just going to run right through these, 6, 7 questions.
Okay, let's see if we have answers.
If you don't, just say pass. That's fine.
There you go. Perfect. All right. Favorite nonfiction book?
Power of Habit.
Okay. Favorite fiction book?
Edgar Allan Poe's collection.
Nice.
Favorite escape game you've played?
The Forbidden Cathedral in Montreal.
Game or location you want to visit?
I want to go to Sherlock in London.
Oh, all right.
This one maybe, I don't know, since you said you didn't like board game, do you have a favorite board game?
Pictionary is about as close as I can get.
There you go. There you go.
How about a favorite YouTube or TikTok?
YouTube, anything with regards to building. Those are my favorite. I enjoy that. And I watch Bizarro and Test subjects as well. He's a fun guy, and I like his stuff.
Awesome. Well, that
Easy.
was
good. That's the best speed round we've had.
I think it was the best speed round we've had. Wow.
It's perfect.
Mark, do you have a story of some guests that came in or something that happened at the escape room that is a little wild, a little crazy, that you can remember
And share.
and share?
Yes,
Some
yeah,
stories
we've had
maybe we can.
the ones where the people show up and they're in full regalia. They show up in vampire gear and they just come in and really take over the space as full vampires. So that's really cool when people do that. I think my favorite story is we have people contact us, and we actually had an engagement party here, and they contacted it a week, and we built into the puzzle the giving the ring at the end. She, instead of getting the final trinket they need to win the game, she actually got a scroll, and she read the scroll, and she read through all the way through the scroll, and blah 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 blah. Will you marry me? And she goes, I don't. Where does this go? and she turns around, and after she finally realizes it's not part of the game, and then he's on his knees and he proposes. And I think that was a great,
awesome,
super romantic story.
And so
yeah,
so he contacted you ahead of time, was like, hey, look, I want to do this. Can you help me out? And then did you just say, oh, I've got an idea?
Yes, the mom did. Hey, we want to do this. Yeah, and then she wrote the speech and everything, and I rewrote it.
Really?
So,
yeah.
Well, yeah, so I rewrote it in Old English so it fit the theme of the game, the whole 9 yards.
So cool.
That was a really nice event, and they used the party room, and there was like 25 people. So after they came out of the escape room, they gave them a huge congratulations. It's amazing that they did all that and she didn't know.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic.
Well, tell everyone the best way to follow or contact you.
Well, I'm a real simple guy, so the best way is just to look up Keystone Escape Games, the website. We do have a Facebook, but unfortunately our Facebook was hacked and we lost everything. So when you go on there, it's all pretty new. We've had to start over just in the last month.
People suck. Like, why are you going to do that?
Well, they hacked into my personal one, which I'd had for 15 years or whatever. And the way Facebook is unfortunately, if you lose your, they take away your business one if you lose your personal one.
Wow, that's crazy.
We had to start here. Somebody told us to make sure more than one person is the admin of your business page, so that way if something happens to one of your pages, the other person can at least still control it.
So, really? Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes, so when we're doing that too. So I'm an admin, Jim's an admin, because Jim has his own Facebook page, and so I mean, we don't put much on it, but it's just that's part of the reason is so we can have another admin for our Facebook.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I think that's it. Thanks so much, Mark, for taking the time to talk to us and blasting through that speed round. That was great. And
well, thanks for inviting me. Yes.
Yeah, I hope that when you get those 2 rooms up, we can come back out there and play them.
Yes, I would love to have you guys come out, and we could use another duck. So
nice.
I love it. Awesome. Well, this has been Curt and Chris. Thanks for joining us on this thrilling adventure of mystery soup. Remember, in the pot of puzzles, every clue is a secret ingredient, and every challenge is a chance to stir up something extraordinary. Until next time, keep your wits sharp and your sense of adventure alive.
See ya.
Mystery Soup. Mystery Soup. Mystery Soup.
You got a little tongue tied there, Chris.
Keep those whips sharp.